welcome. My name is Amanda Malone. I'm from Roseborough Travel. I know almost all of you and have traveled with most of you already. I've been blessed enough to do that, so I'm very excited. But on behalf of all of Roseborough Travel, we want to thank you for joining us today for this presentation. So the topic is been there, done that. Why don't you look at these? So we will be talking about various destinations today with some really amazing representatives from wonderful companies. And we'll let them do all of the talking, tell you everything there is to know about their brands, where you can travel with them, and upcoming trips that they have or we have as a group as well. So first, I'm going to bring up Karen from SeaDream. She's going to tell you everything there is to know about yachting. And it's going to be a great time. So Karen, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
I always love the applause. I love it.
Come back up, do it again.
You know, I love this topic just because so often I do hear, oh, been there, done that. And there is so much about where you've been that you may not know. Except for this gentleman in the white. What's your name?
John.
You. No, that's you. John. John just got back from 40 days to where?
40 days.
40 days.
Australia to Vancouver.
Okay, he's probably seen everything that there is to see on that road. So, but I'm going to tell you first a little bit about SeaDream and then go on to some of our fabulous itineraries and some ports that I guarantee you've never heard of. But I love this. Once you have traveled, the voyage never ends, but is played out over and over again in the quietest chambers. The mind can never break off from the journey. And that's what really motivates us, I think, to keep on traveling, is we're not collecting things anymore. We're collecting rich experiences and memories. Yes. Can I get an amen there? Uh-oh, Bruce. Uh-oh.
What happened? Is it not working?
Do I have to turn it off?
Yeah, there's
Hated that.
There we go.
And this is like, in a nutshell, what we do and what we don't do. This is not us. This is us, right there. And it may look like a lifeboat, but it's really us. And that's our little SeaDream yacht. We have two of them that look exactly like that, and they hold 112 passengers each with the same amount of crew. So it's a great, fun way to do it. Just a little bit about the yachting experience is yachting can get you into luxury, kind of take you where you want to be in a luxurious yet casual type of style. We've replicated as much as we can owning your own yacht. And I'll tell you a couple of ways, who doesn't want to own their own yacht? That's what I'm saying. And because of our size, we can get into yachting harbors and secluded ports. Now consider this, if you're a large ship, and there's nothing wrong with that, you're always at a cruise ship terminal. How often are they in nice parts of town? Usually not. But yachting harbors are always in really nice parts of town, so that's an advantage. We have some incredible service. There are crew, what I love to, this description, highly anticipatory. They love to impress. They really kind of take a lot of joy in that. And I'll just tell you a couple of stories, but this is one of my favorites. When my husband and I were on SeaDream, we were on a relatively long, somebody's got to do it, but a relatively long voyage, and it was the last night. And I don't know about you, but by the last night, I'm kind of going, Uncle, I give up, I can't do this anymore. But they asked us, what do you want for dessert? And I said, nothing. I can't, I just can't. Well, my husband's never turned down dessert, so he had his and mine. And I thought, well, I'll just sit around and wait while he has his dessert. Well, they came out, and for our main course, they've got the cloches there, and they do the ta-da. Well, they came with our dessert, with his dessert, in 2 plates. And I thought, well, this is both of his desserts. But they were close, and I thought it was really strange. And they put one down in front of me. And trust me, SeaDream does not make mistakes. So I was really, really surprised. Well, when they took off the cloche, this is what they served me. It was nothing. When you walk on, you can tell it's completely different. you're met by the captain, and they're always really good looking. The cruise director, the maitre d', and the most important person is your bartender. And that bartender is going to remember the last time what your favorite drink is. If you can kind of see yourself in this, you might be a yachter. You tend just slightly younger than the luxury cruise. You're young at heart, doesn't matter your age, it's really more psychographics, well-educated professional, and you may not have really been all that attracted to your mainstream large cruise ships anyway. You might have preferred hotels and villas. Active, outdoors, boat owners, empty nesters. Remember getting that raise when your kids all graduated from college? Yay! And they do tend to like the smaller ships, for instance, river cruisers like river cruising, very much for the same reason that they like yachting. And we are inclusive, so all your gratuities, all your wines, open bar, water sports off the marina, your mountain bikes, all of this is included. Fantastic food, and this is really mean to do right before dinner, because I think that looks like really one of the nicest steaks. But all food is prepared when you order it, so it's all done restaurant style. We always try and have breakfast, lunch, and dinner topside. We have shaded areas for everybody on the yacht, so you can eat topside. We also have your living foods, which is your raw vegan. And I can tell you something, has anybody ever tried raw vegan? You have. And you can then order something like this 15 minutes after when you're hungry again.
And not be judged.
Yes. We have a couple signature things that we do. We always do our champagne and caviar splash. This is where the chef comes out, or this is actually our manager of food and beverage on both the yachts, but they'll serve this great caviar and your champagne, and they'll get in the water with a surfboard with all the accoutrements, and they'll serve that to you. It's so much fun, not the least bit less luxurious as being served on a silver tray. In the Caribbean, or in the Mediterranean, where the beaches really aren't that great, we'll do shaken not stirred martini parties. And at night we have our starlight movies or our concerts under the stars. During the day we have these fabulous Balinese beds that are raised up over the railing so you can get really a great vista around. And then at night, if you want to sleep there, you can sleep under the stars. I do have to do this warning here. This is the bar. So if you're thinking of doing anything here, this is the bar. So don't. But if you want to get super romantic, we do have one Balinese bed at the front of the yacht where we can quarter off. And this is how we set that up with rose petals and champagne and that type of thing. We also have our shoreside casuals, which would be crew-led activities. It may be shopping with the chef. It might be truffle hunting with the hounds. I know I've gone snorkeling with the captain. And then we do have yachting land adventures, which are going to be shore excursions. They are not included, but they're upgraded, so there'll be cooking classes or swimming with the dolphins or something that's a little bit more upgraded. We have very nice amenities in our on our yachts. I'll go through these really quick because I've got some great pictures to show you. That's our typical stateroom back here. Although that looks like a really short bed, trust me, we did not use the fat lens on that. But it is a standard bed. Here's a king-size bed in the Commodore Suites. You can also have the Admiral Suite, which is a bedroom, guest bath, living room, dining room, and massive bathroom, same with our owner's suite. We have the aft pool, the swimming deck. We've got a whirlpool, but what I like is this part right here flops out, and we have your water sports that are on the back of the yacht. If the weather's inclement, we do have a dining room. It's beautifully appointed, but like I say, we mostly like to do our topside dining. We have a spa. It is the only Thai certified spa afloat. And we have 6 massage therapists for the 112 passengers, so we do like our spa. We have a fitness center, I hear. I've been there, I really have. Bruce can understand that with me. We include Tai Chi and yoga. We have a golf simulator. And it really is just being as active as you want or as relaxed and casual as you want. We kind of call our service concierge service because you're paying for it. We shouldn't tell you what to do. You should tell us what you want to do, and then we can accommodate that. You know, the pollen's really getting into me today. But I'm fine. I'm fine. Nobody worry about me. I'm fine. We have, as I said, we have this aft deck where we do our water sports, stand-up paddleboard, jet skis, zodiacs, wave runners. We've got motorboats to do water skiing, and everybody gets snorkeling equipment who wants it. And then if you want, you can take the bikes off and enjoy a bike ride. It's pretty exciting. We have a casino, one table, just one table, but this is really your evening on board. Now, to get to the whole, been there, done that, how many of you have been to Cuba? Okay, did you love it? Did you go to all over Cuba? Okay, all right, so you'll be able, you too? All right, so you'll be able to back me up here. This is SeaDream's itinerary, and to my knowledge, we are the only ones who start in Cuba and end in Cuba. So we'll start in Cienfuegos and go, and I'll show you why we take this route in just a minute, but we go from there to Havana, and then we overnight in Havana, so you don't have to worry about getting the hotels in Havana, which is sometimes a little complicated to do. This is Cienfuegos, and it's just kind of a little Havana. It's right on the water, well, Havana is too, but it's right on the water, and you get a lot of the classic cars, but it's beautiful architecture, and it's clean white streets, not as crowded as Havana. And then the first port we go to is Trinidad, and Trinidad is one of the most vibrant, happy places that you can imagine. Remember that Cuba has basically been under communistic rule for how many years? 80 years now. And as you know, communism tries to take away anything they can. And what happens is people find what government can't take away, and they build that. So you'll find people who love their families like you've never seen anywhere else. You'll see music that's happy and joyful. You'll see art that's bright and vivid. But this is Trinidad, beautifully set right there, kind of at the base of the mountains. And this is where a lot of the cigar factories are, so we'll take you to roll your own cigar. This is some of the Cuban art, very bright, colorful. Really great musicians, very happy, happy people. Now, you might wonder why you don't just, did you take a land tour? Okay, you took a land, oh, she's answering her phone. This is why you might want to go on a 5-star yacht, because this could be your hotel room, okay? So we like going in, this is actually one that was in Trinidad that I thought was kind of funny, but we like you to kind of deliver you to where these places are and then bring you back for your 5-star experience. Now this is why you would go where we kind of go, because this is obviously the aerial view of Cuba. This indicates shallow, really shallow water, but beautiful, beautiful water. So we start in Cienfuegos, and we come through here, going along this chain of islands here, and you'll notice that everywhere we go is beautiful, shallow water. And so it makes for nice, not only sailing, but, well, let me show you here. This is, Cayo Largo is right there in the southern part of it. This is underwater. You can walk out for miles and miles and miles, and it's what they call the lake. And it's not very shallow, but you see fish that are swimming all around, and you only come up to about here unless you walk way out there. That's more of the lake, and that's where your snorkeling equipment comes in. In that area is the Bay of Pigs, and what's kind of interesting about snorkeling in the Bay of Pigs is you see a lot of the remnants from that invasion, and it's just interesting to kind of see what's left on the floor there. I love this island, Isla del Juventud, and anybody who speaks Spanish is probably saying that much different than I am, but this is one of the prisons that's in this town. And just a really quick story about this. This is where the Castros were held for a little while, but this was supposed to be the world's iconic prison that everybody was going to replicate. And they've got these beautiful prison centers, but these are all open windows. And somewhere along the line in the 40s, the prisoners came up with this brilliant idea that they would tell the guards that people were handing them dynamite, and they were hiding it in the floorboards. Well, as hard as they could look, they could not find that dynamite, but the guards were all really, really nervous that they may have not just found it, that it was there, but they haven't found it. So they had kind of this massive walkout where the guards refused to stay there, and they had to relocate those prisoners to another prisoner. And this stands exactly like it was, and no matter how hard they look, there was never any dynamite. But that was pretty smart. There also, when you do snorkeling, you'll find these petroglyphs, and nobody quite knows who carved them or why they're there, but they're underwater, and you'll see these all over that area. Beautiful snorkeling in this area. And this is Maria Gordo, and once again, beautiful, beautiful beaches, beautiful water, really historic areas. We do include the people-to-people, so you don't have to worry about doing that. You know, as a U.S. citizen, you've got to do a people-to-people every day in order to make yourself legal there. So we take care of that. In Maria Gordo, there's this shipwreck that is very, very fun to snorkel through. This is a submarine that had sunk. And then, somebody tell me what kind of coral this is. This is brain coral. Yeah, brain coral, that's right. This is actually the largest piece of brain coral that they've found. And that's there in Maria Gordo. And then you end up in Havana, where we have the overnight. Havana is gorgeous. You've got those great classic cars. And then we always include the flamenco dance. So, that is Cuba. And we think we do a great job. That was 7 days from Cienfuegos to Havana. Now let me just tell you, the Dalmatian coast, probably more of you have been to the Dalmatian coast. But I want to point out Zadar and Korčula and the Corinth Canal. And these are, has anyone been to Zadar? Well, Zadar you have to be very small to get into. But what they did was in 2004, they took all their tourism money and they decided that they were going to make a water organ. So when the tide comes in, the water fills up pipes and it makes very, very eerie music. And when it comes out, it does the same thing. And this is that water organ. And if you go on, I'm not technically advanced enough to figure out how to do it, but go on the website and look up the water organ, and you'll hear the most eerie, beautiful sounds. Well, they upped their game just a couple of years ago because they decided that they were going to put LED lights at night that play with the water music. So that is Zadar, the night lights of Zadar. Korčula, how many of you have been to Dubrovnik? Okay, Dubrovnik is a beautiful, beautiful town. However, it is very touristy now. And that just breaks my heart because it doesn't need to be. But there are lots and lots of t-shirt shops there. If you want to get away from the t-shirt shops, go to Korčula. And Korčula is basically a mini Dubrovnik. And it is absolutely stunning. It is like a piece of history that's taken out and just, because it isn't overrun by tourists, it's genuine, it feels great, and it's in really good shape. And you'll see these, just like in Dubrovnik, you'll see these beautiful, beautiful walkways through it. And then, if you haven't been on the Corinth Canal, this is SeaDream on the Corinth Canal. And you see, we don't clear it by too terribly much, but that's what makes it ever so exciting. And then the last one I'm going to talk about is this Portugal coast along here, along the northern part of Spain and into Bordeaux. And some of the high points of this is Porto, and Porto is a beautiful, very colorful city that's right along that Lisbon, right up from Lisbon. Just the colors are vibrant, and it's up on a hill, and it's Mediterranean looking, but it's definitely got its own feel. Moving on, you've got Vigo, Portugal, and once again, you see in the distance the rolling hills, but you'll start to see a lot of the fortresses and that type of thing right along the waterways. Then going in, bright, colorful buildings, but I love this because this is what people use when they go to the beach, or the beach huts. But this is Gijón, Spain. And we end up, actually we go into Bilboa, and Bilboa is what you feel like as you're coming in, a very rustic, medieval town. But what it's most known for is the Guggenheim Museum, which brings that modernistic touch to it. And then what I think is pretty great about what we do is, you gotta be fairly small to come down here, down the river into Bordeaux, and that's exactly what we do. We also will go up the river Seville into Sevilla. And this is Bordeaux, along with the beautiful, beautiful vineyards. Actually, I have one more. To show you. This is a pretty typical voyage that we do, going in from Civitavecchia. Positano is incredible. Amalfi, Capri. We don't go to Naples. We'll go directly to Capri, into Taormina. But what I really want to show you is this Adria. And Adria is where the very wealthy shipping magnates come and summer. So they leave Piraeus and they go down to Adria. And what's unique about Adria is there is no traffic allowed on Adria. Everything is merchandise, people, everything is hauled by donkey. So it's got this really neat kind of feel that you're back in time. This is another shot of it. Beautiful cafes and stores along that side. And Positano, I wonder why I'm showing you Positano. Because it's beautiful. Who's been at Positano? Beautiful, isn't it? There's Positano. Okay, I am going to, how's my time? Done, I'm out of here. So I'm not going to tell you about the Caribbean, but just take a look at that map and see that there are some places that just aren't called on normally. But I will be around, and I will turn.
Well, does anybody have any questions? Because I know a lot of times when we wait till the end to ask questions, we forget them. Does anybody have any questions about itineraries or the ship, the yacht, or anything else? I think the Caribbean is especially most unique, so I like that you have the itinerary up there, because so many times in our office we are asked, and not to be taken the wrong way, but we're asked, when are they going to build more islands?
I get that.
There are more islands out there. The big ships can't get to them, though. They don't get to them. They're not appropriate for docking or tendering or anything. So going on a yacht is really unique and fun and exciting to be able to get to islands you haven't been to before on those big ships.
I'll tell you what, I will send you the rest of the PowerPoint to put on it.
Great.
Very cool reports, and she's right. I mean, the Caribbean, you can't get prettier water, you can't get much safer, and it's close by. So to be able to go back and see places that you haven't seen before, or hit it, for instance, in Tortola, we don't go to Road Town, we go to Soper's Hole, which is on the west side. And what a difference that makes. It's just not touristy at all. It's you're looking at the natives.
Yeah, I love it.
Any questions? All right.
Well, Karen will definitely be here after the presentation if anybody comes up with anything along the way.
Think about this, because I'm going to feel really bad if you don't ask me at the end.
switching on her presentation, I'm going to do a little quick introduction about Trafalgar. So, they're one of my favorite tour companies I've ever been on. I'm really excited that Ariane's here today to talk to you a little bit about the been there, done that destinations you can go with Trafalgar. And we actually, even though how many have been to Spain? Yeah, right? So most of you have been there, done that. I went before, and for me, it was on a cruise ship. So I can't wait to go back and actually do the regular tour. We're doing it with Trafalgar. But now that you're up, Ariane's going to go ahead and talk to you a little bit about those been there, done that destinations that Trafalgar can bring you to.
Thank you so much, Amanda.
Yeah.
Thank you, Roseborough Travel, and thank you, members as well. We appreciate seeing all of you. And how many of you have been on a Trafalgar tour? Very good. We appreciate your support. How many of you have, the great thing is Trafalgar we've been around for 70 plus years now. This is actually our 71st year in business doing guided vacations. We are a worldwide company, so when I tell you, as you guys can see on the desks here, we truly do have the whole world in your hand. I mean, I've got a little bit of everything, 226 different itineraries, 8 different types of travel styles, so there might be one itinerary that looks really great for you, but you can always sit down and speak with Roseborough Travel to say, hey, I'm looking at that leisure, I'm looking for a city explorer itinerary. We're going to go through a couple of them, just kind of give you a better idea of things, what to expect. But we travel through 66 different countries. I have 500 different travel directors, and we are the most globally award-winning tour company out there. So thank you for traveling with us, and for those of you that will be traveling with us, you'll be added to the 5 million passenger story with us as well too. How many of you have had this moment of truth? I know I personally have. I remember I got lost in Paris. I'd also done this all on my own. My ex-boyfriend and I did not plan out well. We had gone through, it took us over 2.5 hours just to go and get to our hotel. I didn't speak a lick of French, and we walked 13 miles to our hotel. We're going to be out there. It just took us a really long time, longer than expected. So we totally had that moment of truth because we didn't speak the language. We didn't book our transfers right. It was every nightmare you could possibly imagine. So whether you guys want to have that actual moment of truth and saying you had this too, I know somewhere along the way everyone has had that moment. But you want to travel with confidence, and this is the reason why you want to look like this statue versus this statue. You always want to look back at having those moments of truth where you said, hey, I just booked with a really great guided vacation company. They took care of everything for me. I didn't have to worry about a thing. Everything was done in advance for me, made life very simple. So with that, we are the most award-winning travel company out there. We have over 5 million happy travelers with us, so thank you guys for being a handful of them as well. And like I said, we have 8 different types of ways to travel, 226 itineraries in 66 different countries that we operate in. How many of you have been to Peru? Anybody? Breathtaking, right? Absolutely amazing. And it's one of those lifelong experiences that whether you were ever planning to go, it's one of those moments of a wow factor, right? You always look at, whether it was on your bucket list or not, once you get to Lima, Peru, and you see, Machu Picchu, you're like, this is the most amazing place I have ever been to, and it really has that goosebump type of moments. When you're going to book a guided vacation style with us, we want to make sure that you have those pinch-me type of moments, or really pulls heartstring. You're getting the full sixth sense experience when traveling with us, from the taste, the touch, the feeling of it, the smells, the aroma, getting a chance to travel places that maybe you've never been to before, or that have really just kind of changed your whole entire attitude towards travel. You could be going into, Costa Rica, getting a chance to go to Guanacaste, having different types of experiences. Remember, we're a worldwide company, but these are some of the more off the beaten path type of itineraries that we have. If you want to go to Patagonia, or if you're ever looking to go to Mexico, go see the Mayan ruins. How many of you have gone to see the Mayan ruins before? Such an amazing experience, and it's really one of those wow factors when you actually see how big it is. It's one of those 7 natural wonders of the world. You too can get a chance to go and experience just to go see the local national parks as well. So definitely a wow factor. I actually had a photo from years ago that I was actually holding the room, and I thought I was very strong at that moment. I thought that was a great idea. But you get a chance to unwind, relax. When you think about doing a guided vacation, you want to be able to call Roseborough Travel and say, hey, I want my air to be booked for me. I want to be able to do you know, the treasures of Costa Rica, or I want to do a journey itinerary, do travel with a smaller group, kind of get to know all of my like-minded travelers. And I also want to get a chance to go and see and experience everything, but I don't want to have to worry about, you know, getting tickets, waiting in long lines. I want to have the backstage pass. I want to know that my travel director and my actual driver, they're going to actually take care of my luggage for me. I don't even have to worry about going and finding a hotel and the accommodations. Remember that first slide that I showed you of the guy at the statue? We want to make sure that it's easy going for you. And that's one of the reasons why you want to travel with us, because we skip the lines, we give you the VIP access, you know, we take the strain and the stress out of travel for you, so it makes it so much easier. So with that, you want to be able to taste the food. You want to live like a local, you want to have the cuisine, you want to have a little bit of everything right there, right? You want to be able to say, oh, I tried that really weird guinea pig. You know, I will tell you personally, I went to, my very first guided vacation, I went to Australia. And I was so excited, I had saved up every dime in my bank account, I think, just to go. I was on the tour throughout high school and I went. And I remember I had this most amazing experience. I stayed at Fraser Island, and I remember we had a day where we had an excursion to go and see the local petting zoo. And of course, we were all so excited to go see the kangaroos, to go see the wombats, to go and see, you know, koalas, of course. I held Pixie, she was sweet. She was 40 pounds. She was really something else. She fell asleep in my arms. She had a lot of eucalyptus. She was out cold, which was just pretty hilarious. Nothing could bother her. You could poke her and she wouldn't even like wake up. It was kind of funny. I was like, she's stuck. Are we sure she's good? I will tell you though, when I went to the local petting zoo, I remember I was actually on a 30-day tour, so by the end of it, I was really craving, you know, foods from home, so I really wanted to have pizza. That's all I really wanted. So I saw that there was kangaroo pizza. After coming back from the petting zoo, I felt really bad. I had kangaroo pizza that night. It kind of tasted like chicken, I gotta tell you. To be totally dead honest, it tasted like chicken. I'm like, really? I traveled halfway across the world and I got chicken? Is what I really thought it tasted like. But it's those experiences that you get a chance to go have, whether you want to go try crocodile, or you know, go out to the outback, get a chance to go and experience different types of new cultures and experiences, or walking through their local farmers market. Those are the types of experiences that we try to provide for you. Or taking home fresh culinary, and I really took it to a whole nother level on that with going to Australia. But it's those types of experiences. Now, whether you're going into the Caribbean or you know, Costa Rica, if you're going to other destinations, going in Peru, you want to be able to say that you ate with locals, you got some rice and beans. If you're looking to get a chance to have, I know I'm craving homemade tacos, seeing the fact we just had Cinco de Mayo. Of course, that is the equivalent of tacos and margaritas, all the good stuff. That's where tequila was also born in Puerto Vallarta. How many of you have been to Mexico before? Great destination, right? Love that. One of my favorite places to travel to of all times. But you get a chance to live like local. You know, we have these really great Be My Guest experiences where you'll be a guest in someone's home. I know we do a really fantastic tour with when you go to the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, where not only do you get a chance to meet the locals, but you also get a chance to be a guest in their own home. And as you're going to be a guest in their own home, they'll make homemade tacos for you. And you'll get a chance to go and have those experiences of saying how they actually make homemade tossed-torn tortilla shells, and then how to make your own homemade tacos. That is actually had one of the best tacos in Chacanam in Cozumel. Still one of the best tacos I think I've ever had. I still dream of that place, and I still go every now and then. But one of the best places I think I had was actually at the Ramirez Hospital that they have a specific contract to, and they do such an amazing job. And you get a chance to see how they just live like a local normal, and getting a chance to, you know, go and get fresh fruit for you for the day, get a chance to host everything, and learn about sustainable living as well. But you also get a chance when you're going in to travel with us, you know, you've got those travel directors and they do an amazing job, but also our drivers. Kudos to them, they can get through these windy little back roads that, you know, it's kind of like our friends at SeaDream where, you know, when you're trying to get and navigate these little back roads, it almost might be a game of chicken in a certain case because you're trying to navigate it. But our drivers do such a great job and are very talented. They're paying attention to the road. They're making sure that they're getting from point A to point B with us. They're taking care of your luggage. You know, your travel directors do a really great job of saying, okay, we're going to get you checked into your hotel. They'll send out all of your room numbers in advance for you. They'll hand out your room key. They'll say, go to your room, and then we will get your luggage for you. So you don't even have to worry about, you know, the hassle of your actual luggage as well. So it makes it really a fantastic experience. But you're also, as you're traveling on the motor coach with us, typically our motor coach size is 44 passengers. We do have smaller groups you can travel with. It's 26 passengers as well. A lot of people like traveling with a smaller group as well. But it's nice because as you're traveling with us, you're getting a chance to meet with like-minded travelers. You know, imagine as if you, I know that Amanda had said that she traveled with a lot of you as well, but getting a chance to go and meet like-minded travelers, making new friendships along the way. The great factor is that Trafalgar is a global company. So if you're looking at a specific date with us, as you're going and booking those specific dates, you know, you might have someone from Asia or from Australia or from South America. So you're getting a chance to meet other new friends as well. So with that, this is actually some of my friends when I traveled throughout Mexico. I some gross didn't really say it all right there, but definitely getting a chance to go and play like a local tourist. But you get a chance to go and meet the locals as well. We have, when you're going to do an escorted tour with us or when you're doing guided, it makes it fantastic because you're getting a chance to meet the locals. How many times have you guys have actually gone to a destination where you've been there, you went there, but you never really got a chance to meet the people or get a chance to learn about the hometown? How many of you guys have had that? I know I have. Anybody else? Somewhere along the way, we all are kind of actually, we've all gone through that somewhere along the way, but you get a chance to actually meet everyone. You get a chance to meet their household and to see how they really do get a chance to live from day to day. So you're immersing yourself in the local culture. But these are some of the different tours you can go and experience with us. You know, with some of the people that you're going to go meet. I will tell you specifically on my tour when I went away. I will tell you, this is Lynn, this is Ron. Lynn is from Sydney, Australia. Ron is from Toronto, Canada. They were both solo travelers. They were both recently widowed, and they had met on the trip, and they were actually a romance story on the trip when I went away to Italy. I have to tell you, this is the sweetest thing. By night number 3, they had turned off into a little couple and had always gone off in the evening to go get gelato and have a glass of wine. But they had became a really sweet love story throughout the whole entire time. And then there's Stephen, right behind his wife, Marianne. They're also, I had a good portion of Australians on my trip, but I will tell you that it was fantastic. Stephen was the one gentleman who was videotaping everything, whether he was supposed to or not supposed to, from like the Last Supper in Italy. He was still filming it, whether he wanted to or not. But I will tell you, he still actually has he has the video of me getting trapped in a bathroom in Italy and having the travel director, Giuseppe Pianocanti, trying to go bail me out. It is the most hilarious thing now. At the time, maybe not so much, but it was still absolutely, it's those types of people and lifelong friends that you do get a chance to go meet. So this is actually one of my upcoming most favorite videos that I do have coming up here with, you know, all our travel directors. How many of you loved your boring history teachers in high school? Or how many of you loved your history teachers? I mean, I know it is teacher week, and I'm really sorry, but how many of you loved your history teachers growing up? 2, that sounds about right, 3-ish. I'm sorry, I know it's Teacher Appreciation Week along with Nurse Week as well. I appreciate their support very, very much as well. But what I will tell you is that they're not your typical boring history teacher. So this is just a really great video to kind of understand our travel directors. Gotta love technology, right? Alright, well, unfortunately, I don't know if that is going to work, but this is actually a really great photo of our overall group. Just over, getting a chance, when you first arrive with us, you do have a cocktail reception. You get a chance to meet everyone, understanding kind of, you know, getting to know all the different travelers on your actual itineraries. You also get a chance to kind of enjoy, just relax, you know, you're not having to worry about a true thing. Knowing that everything is taken care of for you in advance, tickets are already gathered for you. Knowing that all of the handcrafted itineraries have already been made for you, we're building the experience overall around it for you. So, you know, breakfast and dinner are included. Lunch is when you do get that free time. So everyone does ask, hey, out of 8 different types of travel styles, which one would be the best one that you do have available? Do I have free time? I personally love the at-leisure itineraries because you don't start until after 9 a.m. So you get that sleeping time, you get that cup of coffee, have breakfast in you, get on the coach by 9:30, then you start your tour really by like 10, which is actually a really great idea. But, you know, you get a chance to do your highlights of the city. Afternoon is when you do have that downtime, just that free time. If you want to roam around the city, because sometimes people want to have, they want to grab a quick sandwich, they want to have a 4-course meal, or if they want to go and roam around a museum, the travel directors are great because they can kind of customize those different types of itineraries for you to say, hey, if I know that you want to go to a museum, let me know and I'll go get the tickets for you in advance. You're not even having to wait in those lines, even when you do get that free time, so that's fantastic. You also do have optional excursions available to you, so if you're going and traveling to Costa Rica, if you're traveling to Peru, if you're going to any different types of itineraries that we do have available, remember we're a worldwide company, but thinking about we do have optional excursions for you that is available, that if you're looking to go and do that, you can have those optional excursions to enhance your trips. But it just depends on how you're going to feel. Because maybe you're jet lagged from that long haul flight that you may have done, or maybe it's also dependent on, it also may be actually just dependent on how sleepy you are besides jet lag or the weather, things like that. But authentic expertise, having those times where you have those local specialists all come and they'll tell you about their hometowns, what's so amazing about it. They're also getting a chance to make sure that you get a chance to know places to go and feel like you've actually immersed yourself in the culture, but you do have those be my guest types of experiences. Like I said, you're a guest in someone's home. Does anybody happen to know this castle by any chance? Was in the movie The Quiet Man?
That's really cool.
Anybody?
Ireland?
It is in Ireland, yes. So,
The Celtic woman that
this is actually Ashford Castle. We actually own Ashford Castle. So you too, in some of our different itineraries, you could actually get a chance to live like a king and queen, learn about archery, falconry, get a chance to have a piece of the castle and live in Ashford Castle for a couple of nights. This was formerly owned by the Guinness family. We actually spent 25 million euros in order to purchase it on Tuesday morning. And then we invested another $75 million to make sure it was up to standards of the Red Carnation Hotel. So with that, we also actually have our guest stay here. The Travel Corporation actually represents 33 brands. Luckily, I represent 3, between Trafalgar, Cost Saver, and Red Invitations as well. But these are just some of the authentic accommodations you'll be staying at. Now, we do stay at Marriott's and Hilton's of the world. We do stay at 4 to 5 diamond type of properties throughout the stay, but we really try to give you places to stay with stories. Those places that the walls really can only talk. If you're in the West End in Guanacaste in Costa Rica, or you could be staying at the Intercontinental Presidente in Cancun. We try to give you places that if the walls really can truly only talk. Within those authentic expertise and places that we do try to provide for you, here's just a really great photo of our local specialist Ted in National Park. So just know that we've got quite a broad variety of just things you can go and experience with us. Cultural concierge, this is also a really great photo. Having those local storytellers coming in to tell you more about the destination. Mariana was a really great local specialist that I had when I went through, when I had personally gone to Italy. It was during bank holiday, so it was comparable to 4th of July weekend here. And I will tell you that one of my colleagues had actually lost their GoPro camera during this time. And so my colleague went to go get a bread basket, she was going to gelato, and our local specialist, Mariana, was wonderful because she went back when the ferries were just ready to close. After she had escorted us back to our hotel, she went back to go find his GoPro cameras, which luckily she retrieved, brought back the next day, and still made sure that everybody had a wonderful time, if there was anything else she could do. But as a local specialist, she was fantastic. The reason why I also loved her, not just because she just went out of her way to go find this GoPro camera, it was kind of like trying to find a needle in a haystack, quite honestly, but she was great. When you did the local tour with her, she made sure to say, okay, out of my group of 26 passengers, to say, okay, Sean, you were the favorite son, you're gonna go over on this side of the castle. She's gonna say, Sue, you're gonna stay on this side, you were not the favorite daughter, and kind of had everyone's interaction. So those local specialists do a really fantastic job. So keep in mind, we try to be authentic, effortless, and fun. With that, we do have a FICO score, so that's the good, the bad, the ugly of having different types of itineraries with us. That's what your feedback is from being 1 of 5 million different travelers with us. So we've done pretty well. We've had a 97% score overall. So we appreciate that feedback, something that we cannot take out of it. Also, keep in mind that you can book with confidence with us and with Roseborough Travel as well. They're here to support you and try and figure out what's going to be the right type of travel style for you. With that, different trip styles, I'm going to run through this really quick. So Country Explorer is just, we're going to explore one specific single country. at leisure is not as quickly on, you have more leisure time, you're not running around as much. How many of you would love to travel with your families? Just know we have those itineraries available. You know, we have some really fantastic itineraries. I know that we have the gondolas and gladiators itinerary for Italy. We've got jungles, monkeys, and we've got a really great itinerary for Costa Rica available as well. Hidden Journeys is traveling with a smaller group, so maybe you don't want to be traveling with as big of a group. Just know that we have those hidden journeys. Discoveries is maybe you want to see all of Europe, so you want to see 23 countries in 24 days, and just know that you're on the go. You get a chance to say, you took a photo, you saw it, you're on your next destination. Just know that we have those great itineraries available for you. Regional Explorer is kind of the best of the country explorer and the discoveries. You're seeing 2 or 3 different countries, so you might see Northern Italy, and maybe you also want to go see France and Switzerland as well. Then special interest. If anybody is interested in Abraham McGow, the Passion Play in 2020, or if you are looking to do the Chelsea Garden Show in England in May, we do have itineraries available for that, or Star Wars, or Game of Thrones, Outlander. So we have those specialty itineraries available for you if you're ever looking to do so. We do have that available for you. And then for those cruise and rail combos, so if you have somebody that's going to do the SeaDream itinerary, keep in mind that we do have City Explorers, so you're staying at one property for 6 nights, and we do it in London, Paris, Rome, Amsterdam, Berlin, and Madrid. So something to think about. We do have those itineraries for you. With that, we want to make sure you are the confident traveler traveling with us, as a remember that, because that's what we ultimately want to remember. With Roseborough Travel, if you guys make a booking in the next 7 days, you get a $200 coupon per couple traveling. If you're not ready to pull the trigger just yet, and you're going to travel with us in the next 30 days, $100 off your booking. And then we appreciate Roseborough Travel. They've been so fantastic for us. We have some really great itineraries coming up with them for Spanish Wonder. The Autumn Fall Colors is coming up with us. We have a couple other great group itineraries coming up for you, but if you have any questions, please feel free to speak with me later or with Roseborough Travel so we can help you out. But then again, appreciate you guys all coming out, so thank you very much.
Thank you. So I have to say, when you said if these walls could talk, our trip to Costa Rica was incredible for me. Now there are some companies that are slightly more affordable than our Costa Rica trip out there.
Yes.
And we debated before going on the trip, will it be worth it? Will that extra cost? And Trafalgar is very, on average, good pricing and everything like that, but just this one destination. So we went to Trafalgar, and it was incredible. We stayed at Tortuguera National Park.
Yeah.
And
right in the park.
You stayed right in the park. It wasn't outside. You had to take a boat to get in there. It was in this on this little.
That was the photo of kind of looking out in the ocean. That's what was Tortuga Park. It was so beautiful.
You were woken up every morning, not at some ungodly hour, but by howler monkeys and the birds, and we were able to go to a sea turtle walk. It was wonderful. And then the added experiences in our trip to California, we did a hot air balloon, Northern California, a hot air balloon ride over Napa Valley. Well, that was awesome. So there's several things, destinations that really make Trafalgar that one that pulls at my heartstrings, and I love using your company. So
Thank you. We appreciate your support.
thank you.
Can I add one thing too?
Yes.
I'm Rose with Roseborough Travel too, and I have a client on your Italy holidays right now.
Correct. That is
Never been abroad before.
Yep.
I think that Trafalgar is a wonderful way. If you've never been abroad, or you know people who've never been abroad who'd like to do it, but they're like, ooh, I don't speak the language, I'm kind of nervous, I don't know what to do, I don't want to cruise. This is so perfect because you arrive at the airport and you're done. Everything else is taken care of for you. And you don't have to do another thing until you get on the flight back home. So it's perfect for those first-time rookies who are a little scared of whether it be Europe or Asia or Australia or anything. So I love it. Thanks for your great job.
Thank you. That's great. So this is Aurora the Explorer. She heard that we were talking about Africa today, and she went on our trip to Africa with us last time. So there's a few common faces. She brought her African elephant. My sister knew that she loved Africa as much as she did. She still talks about it, and the kids only 4. She talks about her African adventure, that my sister actually did a symbolic adoption of an elephant for her birthday. So, is that your elephant? What's his name? Say it louder. Tattoo? Tattoo. She rode an elephant when we were in Africa. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Bruce up, and Bruce is going to talk to you about going to East Africa, and possibly a little bit about South Africa. I'm not really certain. So Bruce is from Salute Africa. It's the company that our group went with to South Africa, Botswana, and Zimbabwe. And he'll talk to you about our group trip today that we have going for the Great Migration to East Africa. She's just having fun being up on front. So I'm going to go ahead and let Bruce take it away. Thank you, Bruce.
I'm going to let Aurora help me out because she clearly was excited about that trip. And I love her elephant, so I'm going to see if she'll let me borrow that as a prop for the next few minutes. Well, good afternoon. All right, so let's practice because we're going to take this entire room to East Africa in the next couple of minutes. Whether everyone goes with us in June, that's another story. We hope you do. We hope you do. But in the meantime, over the next few minutes, we're going to take a quick 15,000-mile journey halfway across the world to see East Africa. So that young lady is a good example of why you go to Africa, though, because you come back with that excitement. You come back with those memories like that little girl's going to have, like Amanda has, like Amanda's mom has. These folks have been with us to South Africa.
Ask how many people in the room went with you.
All right, so and you've got ahead. You're stealing my thunder. How many folks?
I'm sorry.
No, how many folks in this room went to South Africa last year? There we go. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. You guys went, right? You guys went. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. This entire table went. So, and we appreciate that. I mean, that, you know, what you saw was an amazing trip because you saw a very interesting part of the big continent of Africa. And what I'm really thrilled about is Amanda was nice enough tonight to give me about 3 hours to sit back and relax. No, I'm just kidding. We'll get you out of here by 9:30, 10 o'clock. Don't worry. We'll get you home in time at 10 o'clock news. No. I'm going to spend a few minutes, and what my plan will be to kind of walk you through this trip that Amanda has now planned for next year, June 2019. Gosh, 2019. Holy cow. But it'll be here before you know it, right? I mean, honestly, it's already May and Christmas will be here and then it's time for your trip to Africa. So, what we're going to talk about today, you've got flyers there, is an actual planned trip, right? This is coming up, this is scheduled. This is Amanda's next trip. She'll be escorting this trip. I hope Amanda's mom is going to join us again. You better go. I know you loved the last time. You're going to go and see East Africa this time. So we hope you go back with us. You guys should come with us. If you want to see some amazing, for those of us that haven't been, if anybody here wants to see some amazing pictures, I thought I took pictures, and I knew my wife took 1,600 pictures on her camera. But if you want to see some amazing pictures, this young man right here took some incredible pictures, and I'm sure he'd be happy to show you those because what they went and saw was South Africa, which I'll show you in just a second. What you'll come back and do in June of 2019 is completely different. So I think, you know, what's cool about this is, when you think about the world and all the places, the great destinations that the world has to, you know, to take people to, you know, the Great Wall of China and Panda Bears and Italy and see the Sistine Chapel and, you know, Orlando and see Disney World, whatever it might be, right? Whatever that might be. I don't think any destination probably in the world is as big as, or as iconic as, or as fascinating as what we're about to talk about. Because what we're going to be discussing over the next few minutes are two of the world's greatest destinations. They are the Serengeti and the Masai Mara. Right? Serengeti is a national park located inside the country of Tanzania. The Masai Mara is a national park located inside the country of Kenya. So Amanda, where'd you go? So Amanda, I know, and part of what started this conversation with going back to Africa already, because you guys just went to South Africa, Amanda just had the opportunity recently, what, within the past month or two?
February.
Yeah, so just a couple of months ago, to actually go to Kenya, right, herself, see it, experience, love it, was amazed by, blown away by how wonderful this was, And immediately, the day she got back, we're on the phone saying, we need to plan a big trip now to East Africa, and of course, see Kenya. What we're going to do with you at Salute Africa, and this is the same company that would have taken you folks to South Africa with us, and they're wonderful, right? They're great. They think of every detail, they don't miss a trick. And they've done it 25 years, they're good at what they do, there's no doubt. But what we thought we would do with this trip is to go one step further past what Amanda did, because Amanda went to Kenya. And Kenya is the Masai Mara, Kenya is Nairobi, Kenya is an amazing place, it's friendly, it's, you know, it's lots and lots and lots of animals. We thought we'd make this one, you know, go one step further, and this trip will actually include both countries. Because quite frankly, we kind of see it as, honestly, if you're going to fly that far, you know, it's not a 10-minute flight from Florida to, you know, to East Africa. If you're going to fly that far, we figure, let's do it right. So what you're about to do on this tour is see both countries, which is Kenya, Tanzania, and therefore we can include the Serengeti, as well as the Masai Mara. So it's really, to us, this is the way to see East Africa. This is the best trip that we could probably, you know, create for any group. And this is going to be fascinating because I think what's really interesting to me about East Africa, right? East Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, this tour right here. When we as just an average American hear the word Africa and we hear the word safari, right? What are we kind of imagining? What we're probably picturing in our own brain, our own head, is getting in those Jeeps and driving through the national park looking for what? Lots and lots and lots of wild animals, right? That's what I certainly picture a safari to be. And that's exactly what this tour is. This is a true safari, meaning that you're in both national parks, you're in two countries, you are staying in beautiful lodges and camps, tented camps, or lodges in these places. And we'll see pictures in just a minute. I think a lot of us might kind of visualize, if you've never done that, you're hearing the word tent or camp, and you're thinking, no, I was in the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts. I had plenty, thanks, you know. The latrine and the bathroom was 50 feet away, and no, I'm not doing that. Well, the funny thing is about being on safari in East Africa is, you know, these are 4- and 5-star beautiful lodges. The chefs are on site, Michelin-rated chefs. So it's amazing dining, beautiful tented camps, hardwood floors, concrete floors, their own bathrooms. You're not roughing it. This is not like being in the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. You're going to stay in beautiful facilities, and you'll see some pictures in just a second. But I think it's kind of interesting just to kind of get past what we might picture it to be, right, which is kind of roughing it. And that's not the case. These are beautiful facilities. But why are you there? Why are you there? What started this whole thing? It's to get at that camp and eventually get in that Jeep and drive through that park and see all those animals. And you will. What's interesting about East versus South, you guys did South Africa. So what you did, and I've done what you did, I did what you did myself. South Africa, you get a taste of safari. Because what you guys actually did on your trip was a couple of days worth, right? You had 2 or 3 days in your big 10-day trip that were actually safari, right? You were in Botswana, you did the Chobe National Park, the Jeeps, the water safari, all that fun stuff. So you got a taste of it, right? You saw a couple of days of it. Well, this is a 10-day safari. So you are in the bush, you are experiencing these 2 big national parks, living large in these beautiful camps, and you're going on safari every day. So that's what makes the East Africa this different from the South Africa. Because South Africa, what you did was actually Victoria Falls, beautiful. A couple of days in one of the national parks, and then Cape Town, right? That's actually what you guys did on your trip. What this is all about Kenya, Tanzania, Serengeti, Masai Mara, Mount Kilimanjaro, the Maasai warriors, the Ngorongoro crater. My gosh, these are some of the biggest destinations that that East Africa has to offer. And this is just a great picture. One of the interesting things about the 2 countries, the differences between the 2 countries in Tanzania, and this is actually a nice picture, I hadn't noticed this before, this is actually a nice picture of what the Jeeps will look like in Tanzania, because Tanzania's requirements for their Jeeps are different than Kenya's. So in Tanzania, all of the Jeeps that we use, and this is a requirement, they all have a pop-up roof. You actually have a pop-up roof with a hard side windows, pop-up roof, and you actually stand up and stand up and look around and get all your pictures, because you can see the roof pops up, and you stand there and you take all your great pictures. You'll see a picture in a few minutes. In Kenya, they use the open air jeeps, right? Which is probably what you had in Port Botswana. That's what we do. And that's where it's just, it's all outdoor air conditioning for sure, right? There's no windows on the side. You're sitting in these beautiful jeeps. But one interesting feature about our East Africa tour, and this is where all the details come in. And, we'll have, agents come to us or clients come and say, look, I found something cheaper, and they do this and they do that. Well, one of the things that many tour companies actually do in East Africa when they take their folks on tour is they use minivans. You can imagine. Minivans. Come on. You're in East Africa. You want to be in a Jeep. You want to do it right. You want to be in that vehicle and experience East Africa the right way. So it's funny. So behind the scenes, what you start seeing are the differences between Salute Africa and our 25 years worth of experience. Our owner of this company, who Amanda talks to all the time, they're based in Johannesburg. You talk to Victoria almost daily, probably, especially as you're planning this big trip. She is the owner. She's been there 25 years. She knows every lodge owner, every camp owner. I think she knows the name of all 33 million, elephants probably in the park. She is amazing. So she's a great resource, but she helps Amanda build this incredible trip that you're about to see. All right, so here we go. So 9 nights, 10 days. You're gonna spend a couple of nights in the city of Arusha, which is kind of where you'll start your trip, and that's in Tanzania. We'll see pictures of that. You're then going to go to the Tarangire National Park, which is one of the big famous national parks in Tanzania. So you'll spend a couple of nights there, one of the tenant camps, go on safaris, of course. You'll then go into the Ngorongoro Crater. And the Ngorongoro Crater, which I'll show you some pictures of, is an amazing thing to see. And I'm not going to spoil it until I show you pictures, but yeah, you've already heard this word Ngorongoro Crater. So you're picturing a crater, wait till you see the pictures. And what you're about to do is spend the night there. It is wild. So one night there in the crater, you're then going to go into the Serengeti itself, spend a couple of nights in the Serengeti at one of the beautiful camps that we use, and then we'll transfer you up. It's really not that far. We take you up because there are two countries next to each other. We drive you up into Kenya from the Serengeti, which is in Tanzania. We drive you up to Kenya, spend then 2 nights in the Masai Mara, and then you'll eventually fly out to Nairobi. So this is kind of what your trip will look like. But keep in mind, when it's all said and done, this is why you're there. It's to see lots and lots and lots of amazing, wild, beautiful animals up close and personal. The big 5, even including the Ngorongoro Crater, they have the very rare, there's 16 left, the black rhino is still found inside the Ngorongoro Crater. So it's the reason we're taking you to that particular spot, because it's the one place where there's still 16 black rhino. They're impossible to find them. So this is going to be one heck of a trip. All right, so here we go. So just crash course to where we're headed so you understand the bigger picture. All right, so here's Africa, right? Big continent. Big continent. You've got friends say we're going to Africa. Great, what part, right? Northern Africa, they're going to visit Libya? Maybe not. But, they're going to go to North Africa, West Africa. This is South Africa. This is where you guys were when you went with us last year. Because you did South Africa, Cape Town, you did Botswana, Chobe National Park, you did the Victoria Falls, which is Zambia, Zimbabwe. So you guys were actually down here when you went with us. You were in true South Africa. What you're about to do on this trip is visit, this is East Africa. This is Kenya, Tanzania. So you're going to be more in this section. So you're going to be over here seeing that part of the continent. And keep in mind their seasons are backwards. Our summer's their winter, and so the seasons are backwards because they're below the equator. But the weather conditions, we picked June, is just going to be a gorgeous 2 reasons. It's great weather, so the weather's nice. You're not packing big coats and heavy jackets and all that jazz. It's very casual. You're not taking 50 different outfits to wear. Honestly, when you go, you typically take a couple of pair of jeans or cargo pants and comfortable shoes that you can walk in, and a hat and comfortable, cool shirts, and you're good to go. So you're not packing lots and lots of clothes. There's no formal nights. We're not going to take you to some big dinner. This is all about being on safari, so it's very casual, very laid back, but it's just an amazing experience. So here's just a little better picture. So, here's the big picture. This is Kenya, Tanzania. This is just a little more of a blow-up. So here's Tanzania. You're coming into Arusha, which is kind of in this area. We're going to take you down and see the Tarangire National Park down here. Here's Mount Kilimanjaro. The Masai Mara in Kenya is up in this area. So just kind of basically you're in this area. And just try to kind of paint some pictures of where you'll be. You'll kind of be seeing these parts of these two big countries, Kenya, Tanzania. So that's where you're headed. But there's Zanzibar. We've heard of Zanzibar. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Amazing beaches. It's right there off the coast of Tanzania, in fact. So anyway, so this is kind of where you're headed. And there, of course, is Nairobi, which is the capital of Kenya. And that's where you actually leave. That's where you'll finish your trip when you're finishing up this big 10-day tour. All right, so here we go. So here's just a little closer map. So the city of Arusha, you're actually going to fly into from the United States, and I think you guys leave this time from Orlando, which is a good idea. So you're going to leave from Orlando.
We'll be leaving from
Yeah,
Daytona.
I said, Amanda, I bet $10 you don't pick Daytona as your place to start. Yeah, that will happen. Yeah.
Anybody wants to hear that story,
Yeah.
stay after.
Yeah, it's a doozy, that's for sure. But lesson learned anyway. All right, so you're going to go from Orlando. Eventually you'll end up, 7 or 8 days later after all your flights. I'm just kidding. You'll eventually end up actually you're coming into the Mount Kilimanjaro International Airport, which is kind of in this area, and then we transfer you by vehicle. It's about 30 minutes into the city of Arusha. Well, you can see here's a good picture. So this is where you'll fly in here. We'll transfer you to the city of Arusha. Your question?
Do you see the mount?
You will, and I've got some great pictures. Absolutely. You're going to see Mount Kilimanjaro flying in, and we've got a couple of other days where that's actually part of the tour, seeing it. Well, you're flying, when you fly in that day, you're actually very close, because you're flying into the Mount Kilimanjaro International Airport. So you're literally right kind of at the doorstep of the big mountain. So you're flying into here, transfer you over to Arusha by vehicle, spend a couple of days in Arusha, and after Arusha, we go out one day and see the city of Mosha, which we'll show you some pictures of. Then we go into spend a couple of days in the Tarangire National Park. That's one of the big national parks inside Tanzania. It's really world famous. It's just, where all the elephants are, and the wildebeest, and the zebras, and the giraffes, and the lions, and all the major predators. Incredible national park. So a couple of days there. Lake Burunge, which we'll see a picture of in just a second. That's nearby. And then we'll eventually head up into Kenya and see the Masai Mara, cross the line into Kenya, and spend a couple of days at the Masai Mara, and then we'll head out of Nairobi to wrap up your trip. So this is where you'll begin your trip, though. You're going to spend a couple of nights. I'm just going to kind of walk you quickly, hopefully, through each day of your trip. So day 1 on June 5th, you're going to get into the city of Arusha. You'll stay at this property. It's about 90 minutes or whatever. But you're going to stay in the city of Arusha. And 2 nights here at the Palace Hotel. Gorgeous. It's just some nice pictures, just to kind of give you an idea of what's inside, right? What are these places in Kenya or Tanzania even going to look like? Are we roughing it? Is this going to be nice? They're gorgeous. So beautiful dining areas, nice big rooms, the lobby. It's gorgeous. This is a nice hotel. You're going to stay in the city of Arusha for a couple of nights. On day 2, we then actually do we take you out, we do like a city tour of a nearby city called Moshi. And what's in the background? So Mount Dora, I think Mount Dora is actually bigger. It's a little taller than Mount Kilimanjaro. But anyway, so we do kind of a city tour of Moshi. With, that's just a beautiful backdrop, but it's Mount Kilimanjaro. But actually, when you flew in the day before, you actually flew into the Mount Kilimanjaro International Airport, which is actually very close to the to the mountain itself. And that's 16,000 feet tall. It's a big one, so you just kind of see that from many parts of the area. So it's a beautiful day. While we're out that day, we'll go to the Arusha Coffee Lodge, have lunch there, just a beautiful, famous lodge, beautiful, famous restaurant that's in the city of Moshi. So look at this one, just a gorgeous picture. And I think this wood theme is something that you're going to see for the next 10 days. Because needless to say, you're in the bush, you're in the plains, you're in the Serengeti, the Masai Mara, the lodges, the camps, the places that we visit. Generally many are built around coffee plantations, but they all usually have this kind of very earthy, wood, beautiful, gorgeous look to them. So anyway, so lunch at this nice restaurant. They've got glass blowing class you can go to, Maasai leading class. They got some fun stuff you can go and do after lunch, but you'll have a nice lunch and then some fun stuff you can do. And for those that want to shop downtown, you can even shop there. How about that? So it's just a nice day out, seeing the city of Moshi, having lunch at the coffee plantation, doing some of the classes. So here we have another picture. So here's Mount Kilimanjaro, where you flew in. Here's Arusha, where you're staying now for a couple of days. And then you're eventually headed into the Tarangire National Park, which we'll look at in just a second. So this is, once again, just giving you kind of a visual map of where are we headed. You start here, you stay here, you come here next, and then you eventually make your way into Kenya, and you see the Masai Mara National Park and see all that stuff. So once again, this is kind of where you're headed, but just giving you some better visual pictures of layouts. All right, so day 3 then, we've now moved from the city of Arusha, and now we're really getting into the safari. Now the safari kicks into high gear, because for the next week, this is all about moving from camp to camp and seeing all the different national parks. So now we're going to spend, so day 3, June 7th, we're going to spend 2 nights at the Lake Barunge camp. So this is a camp. There's a picture of one of the lodges. As you can see, it overlooks Lake Barunge. Lake Barunge is famous for its millions of flamingos and wildebeest that come to the water, all the animals that will literally. And one of the cool things about safaris in, especially East Africa, I mean, you would have seen bits of it while you're in Botswana, and even at Victoria Falls, you would have seen bits of it because there's no fencing anywhere. So a lot of animals actually come and go right through your lodges there in Botswana. They come and go right through the lodges at Victoria Falls. But you're in the middle of the national park at this point. So you're going to see animals literally coming through your camp and being, face to face with whatever animal might be strolling by at that moment. But so you're spending a couple of nights here, and we actually do this is your first day of the real game drive. So we get to the camp, we check in, we get settled in, and I've got some pictures in just a second, but later that afternoon, we actually do our first game drive. So we get in the Jeeps, and we drive out through the park, and we start looking for animals. So once again, though, I think this is just some great pictures of what the rooms look like. I think when we're picturing a room in a tented camp, you're thinking, my gosh, how rough is this going to be? You're a little large at this point. These are beautiful places. So that's the rooms. That's actually one of the tented lodges. There's about 20 of these on this particular property. The dining area, the tented lobby. It's really interesting to see because all this stuff is under tented, facilities. It's not big structures that are cement, but beautiful, friendly. But all these animals are literally kind of going right through the tented camp itself, and then you go out and do your safaris as well in Jeeps. Here, once again, is just a nice picture of what the Jeeps look like in Tanzania. Because in Tanzania, once again, they're using the Jeeps that have pop-up tops. So you're standing inside the Jeep, and you're standing up, and you take your pictures.
Is that open at the top?
It's
It's open up there.
Am I shooting through a screen of video?
no. Yeah, this is completely open. So once that pops up, there's no screen, there's nothing in the way. Perfect picture, 360
Perfect for
degree.
your photography.
Yeah, perfect for your photography. So it's really nice. But in Tanzania, this is actually what they require. We have to use this. Or, like I say, other companies are actually using minivans, which that's not the way to do a safari. But we actually use Jeeps. But this is what they look like. So anyway, so we're going to go out on day 3 and actually do our first game drive safari. So that's kind of cool. That's fun. But like I say, while we're out day 4, June 4th, we're going to go. We're still in the Tarangire National Park. But this will be a full day out. So it includes lunch while we're out. So that's kind of fun. You're having lunch in the bush, right? You're actually on the plains in the middle of the national park, having a beautiful lunch that we prepared. And then we're going to go and visit Lake Barunge and do more of a safari drive in the Jeeps and look for more animals. But this is just very typical, especially what you're seeing at the lake, because one way or another, they've all got to come to the lake to get water, whether it's elephants or zebras or lions or whatever they might be, or these millions of pelicans and all the gazelle. One way or another, they've got to come to that lake and get water. So we always know this is going to be a big day because there's going to be so many animals at the waterhole. Day 5 is cool because day 5 now what we've done is we've gone from the Tarangire National Park into the Ngorongoro crater. So we're going to spend one night here, and it's really just to kind of give you a taste of what this thing's all about because there's just nothing like this in the world. Because the Ngorongoro crater is literally a crater. It's a crater that formed probably, they're guessing, about 3 million years ago when the volcano that was bigger, when the mountain and the volcano that was bigger than Mount Kilimanjaro actually blew up on itself. It imploded and just collapsed and created this massive crater. But inside this crater, which is thousands and thousands of acres, they've discovered animal life that goes back, 3 million years, and they figured that there's over 25,000 large mammals. So that means elephants, lions, and zebras, the big animals. Over 25,000 large mammals just inside the crater. So we stayed there one night just because it's such an unusual experience. I mean, nowhere else in the world can you stay in a crater that was formed by its own volcano, caving in on itself. You can see a lake even in the middle of that, but it's just an incredible day. So we're going to spend one night there. Once again, a beautiful lodge. Look at the picture there, looking out. Yes.
Can the animals get out of that crater, or is it just a?
They can roam in and out because there are pathways up and down through in and out of the crater. But the crater itself is so big, thousands and thousands of acres, that it's big enough to accommodate. It has enough food sources for them and water for them to actually live inside the crater. So when we stay there, and like our camp is located inside the rim, inside the rim of the crater, it's kind of on the hillside looking down, so you get a great view actually. But look at it. In fact, this is just a beautiful view looking through the crater. There's Mount Kilimanjaro off in the distance. It's incredible. But what a beautiful place. Here's some more pictures. The rooms, the outdoor decks where people want to have a drink. They have a pool, so you've got lots of fun things you can do, and just enjoy the day. But being inside the crater is just very unique.
We're staying at a special farmhouse for that one too.
Yeah.
There's only 10 rooms, which is why
You're
there's a
absolutely
limit on the number of people.
Yeah.
who can go.
Yeah, actually, the Karatu lodge that we're using is actually an old farmhouse. It used to be a coffee plantation, and it has 10 tented camps. That's not easy to say. 10 of them. And you're going to have all 10. That's why your group actually maxes out at 20 people, because they only have 10 tents. But this is kind of their lobby area. Beautiful pictures. Here's, like I say, just some of the pictures of rooms and the pools and all the fun stuff they have. But it's where you're at. You're inside. At that moment, you're inside the Ngorongoro crater, and it's just an amazing thing to see. From there, we head on to the Serengeti itself. You're going to spend now 2 nights at the Kati Kati Bush Camp. They have about 20 of these. They have about 20, so you're going to be half of the size. They have about 20 of these tented camps. There's another nice picture of the rooms inside. So once again, I think when we see this, we're not necessarily picturing that. So what's inside is a beautiful big bed, its own bathroom facilities. I mean, just gorgeous hardwood floors, or usually concrete floors, depending on which one it is. And but they're all lined up. The animals, and you're in the Serengeti at this point, so the animals are going to come and go. I mean, look at these pictures. I mean, look at this. These are real pictures taken from the folks that were actually at these camps with us. Yes.
She just asked if the bathrooms are inside.
They are inside. Yeah, we don't make you go anywhere. We don't make you go across the camp to try to find a bathroom. And actually, what they do at night is, I wouldn't call them rangers, but they have all the guides that are actually there at night. So even throughout the evening, they've got their own staff that's actually standing outside, kind of just keeping an eye on what's coming through, our camp that night, because there's no fencing anywhere. So, the elephants can stroll through like that one as a little baby. The giraffes can stroll through and stick their head inside your tent and say hello. I mean, this is why you come to East Africa, because it's this experience that you just cannot get anywhere else in the world. This is why you come. So, and that's just sitting by the bonfire. There's one of the small dining areas in the back. There's one of the park rangers that we use. There's our chefs. I mean, some of these chefs are Michelin rated. I mean, you're not roughing it. You will enjoy the dining, and the food's incredible, and especially dinners and the breakfast.
Did you go on this?
What's that again?
Did you go on?
When I went, I did eat South Africa, so I did what you did. I've learned a lot about it. I haven't done this trip. Don't tell anybody.
Oh.
Don't tell anybody I haven't done this trip.
Well, I was going to ask how bad the mosquitoes were.
Mosquitoes aren't bad, no.
No.
Actually, no, and that's another reason we picked June, because, it's just not a problem. So here we go. All right, so you're at the Serengeti. Once again, this is going to be, now where are we at? Day 6, June 10th. Here we do this is a late afternoon game drive. So we get back in the Jeep, so we got to do a game drive that evening. Day 11, though, now we're going to spend a full day on safaris. Full day, meaning going out that morning, doing a game drive, having a nice lunch while we're out, going out for another evening game drive. Because typically what you're doing on safaris is a drive in the morning, game drive in the morning, because most animals are out in the morning because it's cooler, and the water and the food. And then there's usually a game drive in the evening. So on these full day safaris, we're doing morning and evening both, and then of course lunch in the middle. But at this point, yes.
All of these will be by Jeep and no.
All of these will be by Jeep.
No water.
No, yeah. That's the difference between this and maybe Botswana. Botswana's got the big river where we do water safaris, and the Serengeti actually, and then Masai Mara, there are no big rivers like that we can do water safaris. So it's all by Jeep, good question. It's all by Jeep, but here at this point, so we're day 7, June 11th, full day at the Serengeti, on safari, Jeeps in the morning, Jeeps in the evening, and it's just seeing all these guys by the millions at this point, by the millions, because they're just all over the place. 3 million large mammals, 3 million live in the Serengeti. And of course, that's the whole entire Big Five. Day 8, we move on to another camp. So what we've done now is we're now leaving, we finished up the Tanzania portion. Right, so we've seen Tanzania, the Serengeti, the Gorgora Crater, Mount Kilimanjaro. We've done all of Tanzania. We've now transferred you up right across the border into the Masai Mara, which is Kenya. So now we're going to spend a couple of nights at the Sarova Mara. This is another beautiful camp. There's a great picture of one of the tented camps that we use there at the Sarova. It's a beautiful place. Here's just some more pictures. I mean, look at this dining area. You can just kind of imagine this dining setting that evening. It's beautiful out. You're having outdoor dining. You know, what a great picture. They've got a pool, of course. Great picture looking out into the Serengeti, or out into the Masai Mara. And then this is actually just a typical evening there at your lodge, having a nice dinner and drinks and watching the sunset. So this is just a beautiful camp, great lodge. And here we naturally take you out the next day on June, what we had, June 13th, day 9. This is a full day safari in the Masai Mara. So we're a couple of days earlier, we did the Serengeti, which is Tanzania. Now we're in Kenya seeing the Masai Mara. And that too is one of the world's largest national parks. So it's full of, the Big Five. But I think what Kenya is kind of known for versus maybe Tanzania and the Serengeti, and here's a picture of the open air Jeeps that they use in Kenya, right? So in Kenya, they allow us to use the open air Jeep, so they're open just like this. She says there, wide open air conditioning. In Tanzania, they require the closed Jeeps with pop-up cruises. That's just how it is. So anyway, so we're gonna use these kind of Jeeps. We're gonna go on safari, and but I think what separates probably Kenya from Tanzania, especially for most travelers, most people picturing these East African destinations and knowing about the Great Migration, right, which is a term we've all heard of. This is kind of, I think, what's really, the highlight of Kenya, certainly the Masai Mara, because the whole deal about the Masai Mara and the Great Migration is the Masai River, this is what we've all probably seen at some point on the National Geographic Channel when they're showing Kenya's Masai Mara and the Great Migration. This is what they're showing right here. It's all about these millions of wildebeests and zebras and gazelles and everything else that's kind of on the move from about June through November. They're kind of on the move from Tanzania up to Kenya and then eventually back, but they're always on search of water and food. I mean, that's what that whole migration is actually about. It's on them being on the move, those millions of animals being on the move looking for food and water. So from June through November, the Great Migration takes place, and that's where these wildebeests and zebras and everything else, eventually at some point, they've still got to cross the Masai River. And it's that portion of the trip that they usually show on television, because what do we think of? It's the big crocs that are sitting in the water, and they're kind of waiting for those guys to eventually cross. And it's an amazing thing to see, because you'll see just hundreds of thousands of wildebeest, for example, just kind of milling about, the shore side, just kind of milling about, not really wanting to go anywhere, eating, standing around, because what they're all waiting for is that one brave wildebeest to say, okay, I've had enough, enough's enough, I'm going in. And he could be the sacrifice. But at some point, they're literally waiting for that one wildebeest to jump in and swim across the river, because at some point they got to go. Yes?
How do you know that you're going to actually see that migration?
Honestly, so the honest answer to that is there's no way to guarantee it. No way to guarantee it. Because, for example, one of my groups that went with us recently, they would be a good example of pure luck. Because all these drivers, our drivers and the 50 other Jeep drivers that are out there roaming around kind of doing what we're doing on safari with their own Jeep full of people, they're all talking to each other about where the animals are, and you guys, better get over here quick so you can see this happen. So there have been quite a few of the other tour companies sitting at the river for about a couple of hours because they knew all the animals were literally in front of them, and they were hoping that, today, the next 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes or an hour, at some point that crazy wildebeest is going to say, let's do this, right? So they've been sitting there for a couple of hours. Our folks, and it was all just timing. This is not because it was Salute Africa made this happen, but timing is everything, right? So our guides have been talking to those guides who've been sitting there for 2 hours, and they said the animals are here, we expect it to happen, it's gonna happen at any moment, we hope, because our folks wanna see this. So our Jeep with our right folks drove over, and 20 minutes later, that wildebeest decided it's time to go, and in they went, and they sat in that Jeep, those 8 people, and watched what they were kind of estimating to be probably 150,000 at that moment wildebeests finally make the big plunge and go in, right? And they saw the circle of life take place there too. I can assure you some of them did. With guys just like that.
At the same
So
level,
it's all
even
time.
if they don't make the even if you don't see the migration on the hunt that you go, or on the game drive that you go out on, everything, because this is the plains, there's not any bush for them to cover. Like,
Right.
when we went to Chobe, there was all of this bush. You had to look in the trees and the bush and everything. This is plains, so you're going to see, even if they're not crossing the river, you're going to see the stack of them lining up waiting for that first one to go until they cross, even in just the herds that they are.
Sure. And that's how I think you kind of want to go into this, looking at it realistically, meaning that at the end of the day, it's like, how can we predict rain? No one can, right? Anything can. So, but we have 25 years worth of experience behind us, and certainly some of the best guides in the world that are actually your drivers. How about that? So we have some of the best guys in the world and lots of 25 years worth of experience. So we have good ideas, and that's why we picked June, because we know, generally speaking, when the best times for us and our passengers to be at these places, to see these things happen, these are the best odds and the best chances and the best hope we can have. Will it happen the moment you're there at that time? Who knows, right? It may not, but we hope it does. It probably will. But I think this is what starts the conversation as we're going to Kenya. We sure hope we get a chance to see this portion of the Great Migration, because it's just an amazing thing to see. But in the meantime, before that and after that, whether or not you saw this crossing, what you're still seeing is these 150,000 wildebeest kind of roaming around the Masai Mara, along with all these elephants and zebras and everything else that you're seeing along the way. And you're taking pictures, and the Jeeps are stopping, and you're pulling up next to, a pride of 15 lions, and standing in front of, parked in front of 200 elephants. It's an amazing thing to see. Whether or not this happens, we hope it does, and probably will. But it's a good question, because we don't want you going on those trips saying, well, you said it was going to happen. I won't know anything. It may happen, it may not, but we hope it does, and it probably will. All right, so just to kind of wrap things up, what I did. All right, we got to have this out. Last couple of slides. All right, so while we're there, by the way, just that last day, a couple of other things that we'll do, and this will happen more, because like I said, we do a game drive in the morning, game drive at night. This will happen in the afternoon that day. We're in the Masai Mara. We're going to go to one of the local Maasai villages, Maasai warrior villages, and actually meet the local Maasai warriors. It's really an interesting day. The funny thing is, I think what kind of cracks you up about it is, you'll also see the chief, attached with 2 cell phones on his hip. So it's like, good grief, seriously. You were in the middle of nowhere, but at how they have their cell phone communications in Kenya, Tanzania, no one can even explain it. They have some of the best cell phone communications in the world, and you'll see those Maasai chiefs and warriors with 2 cell phones attached to their hips, and they're doing all this business. Pretty amazing. Anyways, we're going to take you to one of the Maasai camps. So one of the things that we will have, and this is optional. You don't have to do this, because some people do, some people don't. But while we're in the Masai Mara, we will have a hot air balloon ride available for those folks that might want to do that. I can picture you guys doing it. Just doing some awesome pictures. Yeah. So that will be available. All right, we kind of wrap up our trip then. So we've now done all of Tanzania. We've been up to Kenya, spent a couple of days there. We're wrapping up the trip now. So what we're gonna do on the very last day then is fly you from the camp, actually out in the Roseborough camp in the bush. We're gonna fly you, it's a charter flight that we have, but they're gonna fly you from the camp into Nairobi, because you don't wanna do that 5-hour drive in a Jeep, you don't have to. You'd rather do a nice little 45 minute 1 hour flight. So we fly you actually from the camp into Nairobi, and in Nairobi, before you guys leave, you'll have a few hours in the afternoon. So what we're gonna do then is take you to the elephant orphanage. You went there, right?
Yeah.
Is that where they adopted Aurora's elephant?
No, my sister got it from the wildlife, World Wildlife
Oh, cool.
Organization.
So we're gonna spend some time at the elephant orphanage, and of course you can adopt elephants, and they've got hundreds of them. It's beautiful. But these are a lot of elephants that have been abandoned by the parents and the poachers and whatever else, and they're
Most
not
of
taking
them
care
have
of
been
these.
orphaned.
Yeah. So they're taking care of these beautiful elephants, and I will say the elephants, and I rode elephants when we went, and it was a really incredible thing. When we did the elephant ride though, it was different about me and my wife. She was a brave one. When I went on the elephant, I wanted to get the smallest elephant there so I could touch so I could touch the ground, right? Feel a little safer. She naturally had to have the biggest elephant, and man, she waited for that big guy too. And she got on him, and she was about 1,000 feet up, and she loved every bit of it. All right, so anyway, so what do we got? So, wow, well, we lost all of our pictures. But anyway, so the last thing you would have seen then was the elephant orphanage and the Karen Blixen Museum, which is where they, she's the one that wrote out of Africa, right? So you're gonna go and see her home, and that was another beautiful coffee plantation back in the day. So you'll see the elephant orphanage and the museum, Karen Blixen's museum, and then you'll actually go to the international airport and fly back. So there's your return.
Yeah, it's really great. I mean, I just came back from Kenya, so having this pass of Tanzania and Kenya, we're of course going during prime time, and Africa, as affordable as buying souvenirs and stuff are, the accommodations are not super affordable because there's only 10, there's only 5, there's only 7 rooms, so we have to get specific accommodations and everything. We're staying at all 4+ star or diamond level accommodations, so very nice accommodations, and all of our meals along the whole safari portion of it are included. So you've got a very inclusive thing. I wanted to say though, one of the things that we have included that you might not even realize is on there are sundowners. So when sundowners and bush breakfasts, when we're out on safari, one day we'll stop in the middle of the safari in the morning, and they will have a chef there cooking omelets and cereal and coffee, and they'll have everything available. Now we went and had bush breakfast when we were in South Africa, and it was a little hard square of and it was the robust tea, right? This is completely different. They have a whole omelet station out there. And so that's bush breakfast. And then the sundowners, you do your evening game drive, and then they bring you to the highest peak or the highest viewpoint, and they have a whole bar set up there. They've got wine, beer, cocktails. They know what you like to drink because you're there in the evenings at the camp and everybody knows each other. They have it all set up to watch the most incredible sunsets you may have ever seen. And I think that everybody who's been to Africa will agree. The sunset there is just spectacular. So we have some of those really neat and unique things included in this as well. But if anybody has any questions, I'll definitely be happy to answer. Bruce will be happy to stay after.